All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a second, but thank you for the time. We're going to be talking about OmniStudio document generation for Revenue Cloud today. So relatively new feature in the platform, and we'll go ahead and kick it off. All right. So just a quick overview today about Demand Blue. If you're not familiar with us as a Salesforce partner, we've been around since 2012 as a Salesforce partner. Our background has been in managed services, and now we're a full Summit partner. My name's Miles Sims. I lead our Revenue Cloud practice, and we're focused in high tech and manufacturing. And I'll let Ashwini introduce herself too.
Hi, I'm Ashwini Gokhale, and I'm the CPQ and billing consultant here at Demand Blue.
All right. Thanks, Ashwini. All right, so let's jump right in. We're talking some today about OmniStudio, DocGen for Revenue Cloud. A few things. Our assumptions are you're familiar with CPQ, you're familiar with some of the Revenue Cloud features and functions within Salesforce. And OmniStudio is something that kind of historically came from the Velocity products. So it's been around for a while too, but a recent addition to CPQ Plus. And so it's pretty exciting from our standpoint when Salesforce rolls out new features. OmniStudio happens to pack a lot of functionality, a lot of power within that. And we're not covering everything today, really focused on document generation as it pertains to CPQ Plus. Really good article on Salesforce Ben. I thought it was helpful to mention here just to paint the picture as to where OmniStudio lives as we think about, the Salesforce platform being declarative and no code up to what you can do with custom Lightning Web Components and Apex code. OmniStudio, and the example for the article is really specific to OmniScripts, but I think it's a good overview in general. OmniStudio kind of fits where it's low code, but not no code. So there is some technical tools within it, but it really, really expands what you can do, within Salesforce and specifically within CPQ. It is also core to the new Salesforce Contracts product. So again, not covering that today, but OmniStudio is baked into that. We hope to cover that in a future webinar. We mentioned that it does come from the Velocity acquisition and the new Salesforce Industry Cloud products, so it's baked into a number of those. And if you do have CPQ Plus and don't have OmniStudio installed, contact your AE. They should be able to help you get that installed. One caveat for doing DocGen or document generation with OmniStudio is it does require additional licenses. So that's something that can be set up again through your AE and support, or we can help you out as well if we're working on a project with you there for OmniStudio. But just a little bit of background and hopefully, paint the picture as to where it fits within the Salesforce platform and then how it relates to CPQ. As we talk about OmniStudio, the application, and once it's installed, you can access it through the app launcher. There's four key pieces, four key components to OmniStudio. OmniScripts, which are really, it's a user experience tool. If you're familiar with screen flows, then there's definitely some good comparison there. That Salesforce Ben article does a great job kind of giving you some of the more technical pros and cons and comparison. But OmniScripts we will be highlighting today, as well as the data raptors. So other than just having a cool name, the data raptors really allow you to sort of ETL-like functionality within the Salesforce platform. So across Salesforce objects, be able to extract, load, update, write to those objects. So it's a really cool and again, powerful tool. Things we won't be covering today, but are core to OmniStudio as the application itself are flex cards. So if you think of these as Lightning Web Components that you can build declaratively to surface and show information on a page within Salesforce or Experience Cloud, again, you can see where that could be really helpful. And then integration procedures probably deserve coverage all on their own. But this is a server-side tool that lets you build API calls. You can access third-party data. So in the Revenue Cloud world, that's usually an ERP system of some kind, a financial system of record. So just a broader overview of what OmniStudio is and includes. I know there's some good content out there that goes in depth on some of those, and we hope to do that as well in the future. as we look at OmniStudio as it relates to CPQ, so thinking of the CPQ template engine that comes standard with CPQ and CPQ Plus, there's some differences. Highlighted a few things here that we thought were important as you're thinking about which tool is the right fit for you. Localization is not yet supported in OmniStudio. The dynamic quote terms, it's conditional, so it's a little bit different way of doing it. A few of the bigger things I think are, one is you can support Salesforce billing with OmniStudio, so you can do invoicing and create invoice documents with OmniStudio. And then I think where we really see and have seen some benefit to OmniStudio is you can go across, really any Salesforce object as long as it's related to, what we're building off of. So in our example, we're building a quote for CPQ, and any of the related objects within that tied to that quote are fair game to be able to pull that data into our quote document, which is really cool. And then redlining, no redlining per se, and standard CPQ functionality. OmniStudio, as mentioned, is part of the Salesforce contracts product, and that does allow for some redlining. So again, requires that, but expanded capabilities, and good to just see the comparison here. And then just high level painting the picture as we go through. Ashwini goes through the demo today. What we want to cover is showing the relationship and how we've got our standard Salesforce objects and our CPQ objects that everyone's familiar with. We've got the OmniScript that is leveraging our data raptors. So, we're going to show two data raptors, one to extract data from those Salesforce objects, and another to map that data into our document. And here, this is just an example of the different types of contracts, quote, invoice templates that you could create. Obviously, if you want to expand contract redlining functionality, the Salesforce contracts product's there, but there's still the out-of-the-box contract object as well as contract documents that can be generated. And it gives you a lot of flexibility. These are primarily, and in this example, Word documents. So just to show kind of the structure for how OmniStudio, how we're leveraging OmniStudio here for document generation. Definitely some expanded capability, and everyone is familiar in working in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to hand off now to Ashwini to kind of go into some of the demo example and get into exactly how to create some of these things within OmniStudio.
Thank you, Miles. So let's see how we can use an OmniScript, rather an OmniStudio DocGen feature to create and generate a PDF using the CPQ quote. So there are some steps that we need to follow. Let's go with them one by one. So let's go to the step 1 first. So step 1 is creating a Word document with required merge fields. Now here you will see that I have a Word template created, and the few fields that I am going to use from the quote object onto this quote PDF. So account name, the way you denote this merge field is you give a name, account name, and then that should be between the curly brackets. I have a quote number also coming in, the billing address that comes from the account on that quote, as well as there is a list of products. So these are your quote line products. Now these are going to be repetitive. So there is a repetition block we have to add, which is denoted as hash products in curly brackets, and the repetition ends with a slash products again in the curly brackets. So this whole line is going to be repetitive. As many number of products you have on your quote line, those many rows you will see here. Total price is not going to be repetition, so it's put in next line. And if you want to show any other options, like you want to show the logo or you want something else, sales rep or any other data, you can still have it added as merge fields, and you just need to get those fields in your extract data raptor. So let's see how that process is once we are done with this template. Let's go to the step 2. Step 2 is going to be, you have your Word document. Now you need to use it somewhere, right? So the place where you attach your Word template is in your designer. So go to the OmniScript template designer and start a new template. You'll give it a name. You're using the Microsoft Word template. The fields here are going to be your extract data raptor and mapping data raptor. And the document generation mechanism is going to be client side because we are going to do this in an interactive mode where the user or the customer clicks on options, selects what type of template, what kind of options you want, and then generate the PDF. So once you have this, on the right-hand side, you will see that there's a place for you to upload the template that we just saw in the last step. So once you're done with that and save template, it's going to give you two options. One is, if you see on the left-hand side, there is an extract data raptor and a transform data raptor. You can already create those and just use them here. Or if you have not already created, you can just give whatever name you want here and save this template designer. You're going to see two links that appear on the right-hand side of each of these extract and the transform data raptor. And you click on them, and then you'll be taken to the actual extract data raptor place where you will go on then configuring. So that's for this part. You have your all the data raptors ready and your file uploaded. Now let's go and see next step. That's going to be your extract data raptor, which is going to fetch your details from your quote object. This extract data raptor is going to pull all the values that you want from your object. Here we are using quote line, fields from the account and contact. So first is the quote. So we choose the quote as the object and give it a name as B quote, and ID is the ID. Quote next is the quote line. So we are going to match the quote line items that are specific to that particular quote. So the way you denote it is SB quote, which is this quote, colon quote line. So those quote lines that are part of this quote. And how do you identify that is the quote filter is going to be based on the quote, and that's going to be mapped to the quote ID. Next is the product. So quote line product. Idea of that is you're going to match it to the quote line SBQQ underscore product. That's the product. And then you're going to choose the account, SBQQ account that is on the quote, match to the account. Once you have all the objects ready, now next step is to get the fields. So this is the output tab is where you get to the fields. So you can click on add, and you'll get a drop down of all the fields that you chose those objects from in the previous tab. So you choose the fields that you want here, and then give it a name that you want. So the way I look at it is this output path is a variable in which you're going to store the field values. So let me show you how I have done for the rest of them. So if you see here, I'm choosing the billing address from account. So choose all those fields one by one and assign it to a name that you can identify. So I'm putting billing cities as city, state as states. So it's easy for you to identify what field value it's capturing. Account is going to be the account name. Quote ID is the record ID. Similarly, quote name. And then you have your quote line list that we want, which is a product name, the list price, net total, and quantity. So give it a name that you want. Give the quote net amount as total price. Now observe that the way you're creating these fields here, a JSON is getting created also on the right-hand side. So this is basically going to hold all your values. Now, this is pretty much it. And now let's say you want to have any manipulations that you want to do on once you have extracted the details, you can add formulas here and whatever the formula outcome, you can provide it a name here, and then this field name is what you're going to use in your transform file. So that's for this extract file. Let's go and look at the transform data raptor. Now this extract data raptor is going to pull all the values that you want from your object. Here we are. So earlier we saw that how we have extracted the fields from all the objects that we wanted data from. Now we want to use those fields and map those fields to the output PDF, the Word document that we uploaded on the designer. So the way to do it is you have to create a mapping, a transform data raptor. And in the transform tab, you have to add those manually. Now you can either do it this way, or the easier way is, let me first delete this one. So the easier way to do it is you come to the extract data raptor that we initially created, and remember the JSON that was getting created on the right side. So you just copy this from here, go to your transform mapping data raptor, and you have the input JSON here. So click on that. Initially, it's going to be blank. So you just paste that JSON that you took from the extract data raptor onto this. And then on this transform, click on the quick match. So when you click on this quick match, initially it's going to show you all the input mapping, the columns here that you have extracted from your extract data raptor. And the output mapping column, this here is you are going to see all the merge fields that you have assigned in your Word document. So right now I have already matched them, so you're not able to see anything. But once you click on the auto match here, it's going to pick the similar names and auto match them. That's the reason I'm going to show you how you have to use the same names that you have used in your output Word document so that it makes it easy to auto match. Now, let's say you started and you do not see any output mapping columns here. Now, the reason for that is your output type would be document template instead of JSON. So let's see what happens if you change that. And now if you click here, these are the two merge fields probably in my Word document, which I have not used yet, and I have not mapped them yet. So this is how you are going to see all your output Word document names. Once you're done with auto match, and let's say there are a few fields that are not the same, so it won't get matched automatically. So you can choose the field that you want from this column, choose the field that you are interested in mapping, and click on pair. So right now I'm just showing it because I don't have that correct field there, but that's how you use it. Once you have mapped all the fields, come back here and change your output type to JSON again. And that's it. Your mapping has already been done. Your extract file is also done. And your template now is complete. You can go ahead and activate and everything. And your OmniScript should create an OmniScript and use this template there so that you can put it on a button and display it. All right, so this finishes that. Now let's see how you can use an OmniScript. so let's go to the next step. Yeah. So click on new. Here you have to give a name. It can be any name that you want to identify your OmniScript with. Type, it could be the quote object or account object or contracts on any object that you are going to base this OmniScript on. Or you can give any name that you want it to identify it. Subtype would be, so usually the way it is written is your type could be your, let's say, quote, and your subtype could be PDF gen or new. Let's say you are having another OmniScript, not just for DocGen, but for some other process you're using an OmniScript, you can have it as new quote and maybe say what's the name of that process. So this is something for you to identify what this OmniScript is about. So let's look at the one that we have created. So create a new OmniScript and you will be given a blank screen at the start. So the first thing that you do is here, we want the user to choose what template type we want and the object ID. So in this case, it's going to be quote. So create a new step. The way you do it is just go here and you can add a step and just drag and drop it here. So inside that, now we want to text field. So add a text field, a text field, yeah, I guess. Input, drag and drop it here. Once you drag it here, you're going to see the properties tab and give it a name, field name, and that's it. Next, add another text field and name it template type. Now this is where we're going to give the user an option to select a Word template or a PowerPoint template. So you just mentioned that value as Microsoft Word and the label as Microsoft Word docx template. So this is what the user is going to see on the screen. Once you have these, next is you want to extract the template. So this is going to pull all the templates that are existing in the system and show it to the user for selection. So this is a ready-made DocGen example extract template component. So we just add that, and parameter has to be template type, and the value is template type. We are going to use that value later on. Next step is pick the template. So once your user sees all the templates, there should be an option to pick the template. So drag and drop another step and name it pick template and add a select template component here. Give it the name select template, and the component that we have to use here is OmniStudio __ CLM selectable items. This is a ready-made provided. We just have to use it here. So this is going to give the user whatever options the user has chosen. It's going to select that, and then we are going to set the values. So selected template, if the template ID is null, then pick the first template that's available. Template type is going to be the template type. We just defined it here. The template type here. So it's going to pick whatever template type we chose in the earlier screens and set it here. The next screen that the user is going to see is generation options. And this is the place where they can add what kind of file attachment is going to be. So it's going to be either Microsoft Word or PDF. So any option that you see here, you have to add those options and then you will be able to see it here. PDF download viewer is PDF. Then so these are all the selectable items that you have to drag and drop in order for the customer to choose it. The sales reps to choose it from. And this is the test document. So what's the name of the document that you want? So all these are going to be given as an option to the user to enter values. Once the user enters those values, they are going to be set. This is where whatever the user chose is going to be mapped against. So the way we do it here is, let's say the rep chose the document generation as client side. So whatever that option was, it has to be dynamically coming into this mapping. And that's why for dynamic field values, we give it in between the percentage sign. So you give your attachment type, the document mechanism, document viewer, download file format, what's the PDF generation source. So all these values that we have chosen here are going to be mapped against these element names. And the last option is generate the document. So this is going to actually click off the generation process. So this is the OmniScript that we are going to use behind that button. Now let's see how it looks on the quote. So let's pick probably this one. And we have a generate quote document. Now this is a button under which I have assigned that OmniScript to. So when you click on this generate button, if you see here, the object ID has automatically come and you have two options, Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, which we saw earlier, how we put it on the OmniScript. This is the pick a template step. It's going to show you all the type of templates that you have configured in your system. Choose a template. And this is the generation options that I was just mentioning. Default, it's coming as Word. I can choose PDF. Document viewer is PDF. Now, this is going to be an interactive mode because the user clicks on it and chooses the option. So it's always going to be client side. Let's give it a name. CPQ PDF. Let's see. Click on next. And this is going to call that generation step in the OmniScript, and it's going to create this PDF. The first one will be in a Word format. It's still not done the PDF version yet. And now we have the PDF version also. So if you see here, all the merge fields have come correctly. And you can, now that the document is generated, you can either download it as Word or download it as PDF and send it via email to your customer. Yeah, I think we can go to the next step. So you just saw that that OmniScript was getting processed while you click the generate code button. So how do you achieve that functionality? The way to do it is, we just saw that OmniScript, right? So go to the right-hand side and you'll see this arrow here. Once you click on that, you're going to see how to launch. So click on how to launch, and then you will see all kinds of ways in which you can use this OmniScript. So since we are going to use it on a button on a Lightning page, we are going to use the option Lightning here. Now copy everything that's there from this slash, you see, and the whole text after that, And you have to put that on the button. So go to the quote CPQ quote object and create a button on it. And on that button, just copy this whole code that we just saw on the OmniScript. Two things we have to add to this code is, one is the template type that's going to be Microsoft Word, and the object ID is going to be the quote ID, because we are running this, clicking the button on the quote object. So the ID of that quote and the template would be defaulted. And that's how you just saw that demo where you click on the button and those two options were automatically selected for you. There wasn't any need to go through that. So yeah, this is basically how you will generate an PDF using OmniScript. So let's go next. So what you saw was the sales rep has to click multiple options, and then you are able to see the generated PDF. What if they don't want to do all these selections and they just want to use one click and all your processing in between those options and everything you want to default? The user does not want to choose anything. And with just one click, you want that PDF. Yeah. So let's see how that's done. Like, you don't want so many clicks and so many screens to go, right? So let's see how that's done. All right. So here we are going to see how with a single click, we are able to generate a PDF. The process to do that is you have to create an auto launcher component on the page layout. So if you go to, I can show you exactly how I have done here. So I have chosen an auto launcher component and I have added an OmniScript, created an auto launcher deployment and used the CPQ quote of OmniScript and attach it to it. Now let's go and see how we do that. So go to your setup and open the auto launcher. Here you will have to create a new deployment. I'll show you how it is what I have created. Give it a name, a label, and choose OmniScript here. What is the object that you want to have this launched on? So you choose the CPQ quote. Click next, and this is where you need to choose which OmniScript is going to be chosen, or which OmniScripts you want to add to that action launcher. So I have chosen the one that I want to use. And then you can save it. So here, if you go and see, I have the options of multiple OmniScripts. I can choose the one that I want. And it's going to, so here, if you see, it's not going to show you all kinds of options where you go and choose the object ID or the Microsoft Word template and then choose the other options to generate the PDF. It's directly going to generate it for you. And it's the same, all the merge fields and the products and everything just comes. So this is how you can generate the quote PDF with a single click. Now, how it is done, let me show you that. So I have an OmniScript that I have created. Now, earlier, what we were doing is we were showing the screen for the user to choose the options. Here we are going to skip that step and we are directly going to use the extract data raptor. It's a same data raptor. You can use any data raptor that you want to extract the data. And then you set the values here. So create another action to set values, and you can add the template as default. You can default the template. You can give the parameters also, like what's the document title that you want to give. context ID will be the ID of the quote. So on what quote is the document PDF getting generated for? Template name, it's going to choose the template from the options that we gave. And the file format is going to be PDF. So all these are defaulted. And then we use the docgen component. It's a ready to use component. We can just use that. And that is all that's it for this. Create that Omni script, add it to the auto launcher, and use that auto launcher on your quote page layout. So yeah, that's for the demo. So we saw both options, how you can have options for the user and generate, or without the options, default it and still generate the PDF. Over to you, Miles.
Thanks, Ashwini. Yeah, just a quick and good overview of just some base functionality. As you can see, it's got a lot that you can do with it. You can control the user experience. You can guide the user through in one way or automate those things. So I think the flexibility it adds to CPQ is great. We appreciate everyone's time today. If you do have questions or want to sit down and talk about any specific project that this may be a fit for, we're happy to do that. Hope everyone has a great holiday season and New Year, and thanks for jumping on today.